All right, here we are with a special edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse for YouTube, where we decide to take on the question of who would win in a fantasy fight between a prime Mike Tyson and a prime Vitali Klitschko. Probably talking about the Tyson that took out Spinks going against the Klitschko that took down Sanders. I think that'd probably be the way to go best on that one. Tommy, what are your thoughts on this fictional super fight?
Um, Vitali's obviously he's the tougher of the two Klitschko brothers, isn't he? So he's big, he can box, he's got very good power. I could see Vitali winning the fight, but I don't think he's not the mentally the toughest of boxers. He's quit in the professional ring and he has quit also in an amateur fight. So Tyson could, if Tyson hurt him, possibly could get him out of there. But if I had to bet on it, I would say that Vitali would possibly win a decision in the fight. If it was Mike Tyson against the other brother, I think Mike would knock him out in 2 or 3 rounds. But Vitali's just a tougher guy. I think that he could pull maybe an 8-4 decision in the fight.
I'm with you in the belief that Klitschko would probably take a decision, if not take out Tyson late. But I know Donnie disagrees with us. Why is that?
Because Vitali Klitschko has the most overrated heavyweight resume of all time. For starters, I mean, let's look. I mean, look, people could say that Tyson cleaned out a weak heavyweight division, and that's somewhat true. But you know, he fought Larry Holmes, yeah, past prime, sure, but like that's a Hall of Fame fighter, right? Another past prime champion that Vitali Klitschko faced was Lennox Lewis, who came into the ring at his heaviest weight of his career, clearly not in shape, and he got stopped. I mean, yeah, it was on cuts, but yeah, he hurt Lewis as well. But I mean, his face looked like a piece of mincemeat, and if that fight had gone on, his career would have been over before it even began. Um, Samuel Peter. All right, that's a decent win, but I guess what I'm asking is can you point to a single guy on the resume of Vitali Klitschko who is a Hall of Fame fighter? I think it's a hard stretch to find one, honestly. I mean, Areola, I mean, that's a good win. Solis tore up his knee. I mean, a lot of these guys, quite frankly, are fatties. I mean,
Sanders was an exceptional heavyweight with one hell of a punch.
All right, so, Sanders, I'm giving him credit for. That's probably one of his best wins. Because he knocked out his brother, and instead of having his brother avenge his own loss, they decided to tag team Corey Sanders, and one of them got him when the other one couldn't. But I guess, look, if you look at some of the guys Tyson cleaned out, yeah, they may not have been the greatest heavyweights in the world, but at the very least, they came to the ring in shape, right? Like looking like heavyweight fighters should look. Some of these guys looking like they, had joined a fat camp or were, on Dr. Oz as part of a obesity clinic. I mean, it's frankly ridiculous the condition some of these guys are in, and a lot of them were undersized. Thomas Adamek, not a real heavyweight, just to name a few. In any case, when you look at Tyson, really the eye test, I feel like, tells you a lot of what you need to know. Could he, because the real question is could Vitali basically punish him with the jab and keep him outside all night? Well, first of all, Tyson was a great inside fighter, so if he got inside, he threw short, compact punches that I believe would have, if not, I know Vitali has a great chin, but if they weren't, knockout blows, they would be scoring blows. And secondly, he was in his prime, he had phenomenal head movement. And he was very, very difficult to hit. Prime Tyson had great defense. And it wasn't until he lost his cornerman Kevin Rooney and moved over to Aaron Snow and then a whole, cycle of trainers later on that he lost a big part of that game, which allowed him to be extremely defensively adept in the ring. But since the question is prime for prime, I really have to say I think that Tyson had what it took, certainly to avoid those jabs and to get inside. And once the fight was inside, I think the fight is clearly his. If you want to talk about who's a better inside fighter, I think there's no question it's Iron Mike.
All right, well, there's two ways to look at this one. One is also on the side that Mike Tyson's resume in ways is questionable. Because you have to look at, well, not even his resumes, you got to look at the eras. Mike Tyson, his prime was arguably during one of the weaker heavyweight divisions.
No doubt.
That is pretty inarguable. He was the A-plus fighter in what at the time was a C-plus division. And the problem is once he got out of jail, Mike Tyson was only a B to B plus fighter in what at the time was an A or A plus division. Yeah, he was taking out, the guys that were the consistent challengers, but I mean, he, couldn't beat Holyfield, he couldn't beat Lewis. So you look at it from that sense, you got to wonder about how good is a prime Mike Tyson during that division. I think that's the enduring question when it comes to his career.
Well, Matty, let me ask you, do you think he, like appearance-wise, and I'm talking about not just a head movement, but just all the different aspects of his game.
Well, I think you're wrong.
He became a headhunter. He didn't go to the body like he did early in his career. He completely lost that. I guess what I'm asking is, just from the eye test, did he look like the same fighter after 3.5 years in a penitentiary?
Oh, that was not prime. That was not a prime Tyson, and I think I did allude to that. But here's another thing: in the styles make fights category, you have to remember that Tyson counted on, good short hook, good uppercut, stuff like that. Vitali's main mode of defense is how he leans back, and that makes it so that a lot of those punches that Tyson tries to land over the top, he can't do. When he tries to land that uppercut from underneath, it's not there. The left hook would have missed short of Vitali because of the way he does his lean back. It's a really effective maneuver for a guy that has a very good chin and is as tall as Vitali is, especially when you consider the height difference between the two. I mean, there's 8-9 inches of height between them.
Well, as Mike Tyson used to say, height advantage is a misnomer because, when you punch from above, those are arm punches. I mean, you don't get the benefit of springing from your legs and using all that power to punch up.
Yeah, but Tyson, when he would have came inside, you're thinking he would have done well. He would have done good to the body, but you forget one of Vitali's bread and butter punches is that little left uppercut that he can land when his shorter opponents are leaning in on him. He's very, very sneaky with it, and he lands it with tremendous force considering how lackadaisical it appears that he throws it. Tommy, what do you think of these rounded arguments?
I agree with Donnie to an extent that Mike was a great inside fighter, but at the same time, if he gets close, Vitali's going to grab hold of him, isn't he? If he gets by the jab, Vitali's just going to grab him. I can't see past Vitali winning the fight. I think he would win it maybe in an 8-4, 9-3 decision. Mike's speed was unreal, and as I says before, if Mike hurt him, he could probably finish him, but Vitali's chin has just looked incredible in the pro ranks. He's never even been close to going, has he? I disagree with Donnie really, because Tyson's resume isn't. It's not great. He's got 2 Hall of Fame fighters on it. He's got Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes is still good, but he was past prime. Michael Spinks, light heavyweight. I don't think Michael Spinks should have had a title anyway. I thought Holmes beat him twice. But no, I'm with you, Matt. I think that Mike would have struggled against Vitali. Obviously, if he had a fought of Vlad, he'd have knocked Vlad out. But I think Vitali is a bad style matchup for Tyson.
Yeah, it's just a stylistic nightmare for Tyson. But what would be your counter argument, Donnie?
Well, first of all, with the modified peekaboo defense that Mike employed, the hands are always up by the face, right? A true peekaboo would have your face open and the gloves kind of on either side. That's why it's called peekaboo. But Tyson didn't do that. He kind of held his gloves literally almost pressed against each other, right at about nose level. So that he liked that because it gave him better vision of all the punches that his opponent could potentially be throwing at him, and it also gave him the ability to better defend against uppercuts. So when Matty spoke earlier of the short right uppercut that Vitali likes to catch opponents when they're coming in, my answer to that would be that Mike Tyson would have had a perfect defense to counter that. Now, of course, Vitali could adapt to that, and Mike could adapt to him. But in general, seeing what we've seen from them, I would say that wouldn't be nearly as effective. With respect to the holding, you know what? Honestly, a big part of this fight could come down to who your referee is, because some guys will let you work on the inside, and a lot of the times, a lot of fights that Tyson had seemed to either be ref by Mills Lane, some by Frank Cappuccino. Those were guys that let you work. And I feel like there are other guys, for instance, like Luis Pabon, who has reffed a lot of fights over in Germany for the Klitschkos, also reffed a fight with Huck and Povetkin, and he was breaking Huck and Povetkin constantly when they had one hand free. Sometimes when they had two hands free, and that's totally inappropriate. But it happens all the time these days, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not the Marcus of Queensberry rules. So if Vitali was able to get away with holding for an extended period of time every time the fight got inside, then maybe he might have a chance to steal it on the cards. Depending upon whether or not they reward that or they reward the aggression of Tyson trying to come in. Let me just throw one other thing out there really quickly. I mean, name a really, really big puncher besides maybe Corey Sanders, who was pushing 40 at the time. But has Vitali faced a really, really big prime puncher?
Peter.
Lennox Lewis is a big puncher.
I said prime, though. I mean, he was old.
Power's the last thing to go. Lennox Lewis is he was an excellent puncher.
Lennox Lewis could still knock out 90% of the heavyweight division today in his fat-ass shape.
Well, Lewis did hurt him, though. I mean, many times on a couple of occasions, and Vitali also hurt Lewis. But I mean, in other words, the fact that Lewis was known to be a chinny fighter, Vitali is apparently known to be a big puncher, right? I mean, he has the highest knockout percentage.
I don't think he's a great puncher. I think he's a very good puncher, and I think a lot of his stoppages have came through accumulation, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. Yes. He's not generally a huge one-punch KO artist. I mean, because if you look at him, he doesn't even really turn his body into shots. He is just that physically strong that he can arm punch guys to death.
And one other thing I might add, too, I know this is going to probably be laughed at by some people, but Adlanir, how do you say, Adlanir Solis, I know that... Huh?
SpongeBob.
I know that his knee gave out on him, but in a way, and this is a very, very, attenuated analogy, but, I mean, in a way, his style's a little bit similar to Tyson. And you know what? For that first round, until that knee injury happened, he didn't look bad. I mean, he's, seems to be shot now and, taken to eating sandwiches rather than training, but,
I think Vitali was well past prime by that point. Right. Still good enough, but...
I got to do a credibility test on this one, Tommy, okay? All right, and we'll see what your answer is this. All right, prime Tyson against prime Larry Holmes.
I think Larry Holmes would outbox him.
Thank you. Donnie? Yes.
Too close to call. I'd have to think about that.
Tommy and I agree that Vitali Klitschko would beat Mike Tyson prime for prime. Donnie disagrees. Donnie also disagrees with our contention that prime Larry Holmes would beat prime Mike Tyson. So
what I would say is, can I jump in here or not?
Quickly.
What I would just say is that, I mean, Holmes was in the fight of his life Holmes was in the fight of his life with Ken Norton, and that was really close in the cards. And I mean, do you think Ken Norton greater than Mike Tyson? I don't really know. I tend to think Tyson is superior to Norton, and so for that reason, I would pick Tyson.
It was a fun discussion, and we will keep some of these coming for you. Join us at boxingasylum.com and check for this thread. We will be discussing it. For Donnie Baseball and Tommy Allen, this is your host, Matt DiGianardo. We'll see you next time.